go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing this?
Once more unto the breach, dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews connections in mind. Free Guy is directed by Sean Levy and stars Ryan Reynolds as Guy, a non-playable character inside of a video game world where he just is kind of over his life and he wants to experience more from life. And when he steals a pair of sunglasses that enables the player characters to experience the video game world, he discovers a whole new bastion of possibilities and branches out into to becoming what he wants to be in this video game world. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Free Guy, but I'll do those after my spoiler-free thoughts on the film. Just so you know, there will be spoiler talk later on in this review, but first, let's get into some spoiler-free talk on Free Guy. Is it worth seeing? It is a theatrical-only experience. Is this worth seeing in the theaters? I would say absolutely. This is a film, you know, I was not expecting a whole ton out of this film. I mean, I'd seen the trailers, and I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I was not incredibly excited to see this film, but now having seen it, yeah, this was actually a very fun film. This is a very heartfelt film as well. I mean, this is a film where the stakes, while incredibly high for the people inside of the film, in the grand scheme of things, you know, you look at these things. This is not an Avengers Endgame situation where, you know, the fate of the universe is at stake. These are relatively low stakes as far as a film plot goes, but this film does a good job in making it feel like the world is on the line, and to a certain extent, it is. In fact, this film does a good job of establishing how, the differences between the video game world and the real world, how those interact with one another, how things that happen in the video game world are perceived in the real world, and vice versa. It's just a fun world-building experience from that front. But really, the heart and soul of this film really belongs in its characters, and Ryan Reynolds just knocks it out of the park as Guy, or as he's known later on in the film as Blue Shirt Guy. This is just he is just a great character, and I love the fact that he is able to embody this sense of, you know, just wanting more out of life, and just being able to go and claim it. Except for a couple of moments, it doesn't stray into the stereotypical preachy messages of, if you can dream it, you can do it philosophy. I mean, it does eventually go into that realm, but it doesn't get overly preachy in that respect, and it could very easily have gone down the road, but I respect the fact that it didn't. And I just love the fact that it did that, and Guy is really the heart and soul of this movie. His interactions with, you know, his other NPC friend, Buddy, the security guard, his relationship with the player character, Mindy, or his screen name, Molotov Girl, and this whole thing, I won't get into spoilers as to, you know, greater symbology as to certain things that are revealed at the end of the film, but I love the fact that this, it doesn't dwell so much on these various elements, and it so easily could have. And it really just takes the time to say, like, hey, you're in a video game world. All these things are possible. Just go do it and have some fun with it. And it does have fun with it. This is a fun movie. And it brings in just various, you know, video game tropes of, you know, loot boxes and, you know, player customization is fun, and, you know, oh, the introduction of this brand new character to challenge the old ones. It's like, oh, it's going to be fun on that front, and it's like, yeah, it has fun with these sorts of concepts without feeling, too pandering or patronizing in that regard. And I will say I'm not a humongous gamer as far as, the overall, multiplayer game facets of these things, but I like the fact that they can delve into this concept without making it feel, overly pandering in some things, which other films that have tried something like this have fallen into that pitfall, I feel. So in that regard, I feel like this is such a good film in that regard. There are a couple of instances in this film that I feel like don't necessarily work, like a couple of jokes where I feel like they kind of took it one step too far, or maybe they just kind of dropped a funny thread or something like that, as well as some character development that they drop some breadcrumbs along, and the characters realize something later on, but we as the audience have figured it out long before they have. And it's not the sort of thing where, like, in a horror movie where it's like, don't open that door, don't open that door, don't open that door, we've already figured this out. That's where the fun of that sort of thing comes in. These are the sorts of instances where me as the audience member would be like, yes, we already figured this out. Why are we wasting time on the characters are so dumb and they didn't figure this out prior? That's how, at least in my opinion, things sorted out, especially towards the end. But overall, these are really kind of minor nitpicks as far as I'm concerned. And really, this is a film that is very fun to do it, and it's relatively, it doesn't feel like it's a very long film. And this is sort of film where I'm just having such a great time watching it that I'm not really put it this way, there are some things, and I'll get into some spoiler talk later on, as to, there's some very similar plot elements to other movies later on. And while I'm watching it, with a bad movie, I can say like, oh, okay, yes, this is from this film, or this from this TV show, and I'm watching it on this long, and I'm not enjoying it at all. This film, yes, I was identifying various things that this film is similar to during the runtime of the film, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's that. But while I'm watching it, I don't care that this is similar. And that's really the beauty of this film. And that's kind of why I like this this concept of the channel, where it's kind of like Lego pieces. So like, you can use the same, 30 or 40 Lego pieces to build these things. Yes, you identify these various elements, but you can combine them in so many different ways, and it doesn't have to be derivative. It can be a unique product. And in this film, I feel like it uses the building blocks of other films, and it brings them into a unique product that is fun, and it transcends its slightly derivative nature. And I feel like this film's all the better for it. So if I would highly recommend this film, and if I would to give this this film a letter grade, I would say this is a solid A. This film, yes, there are a couple of nitpicks that keep me from bringing it up to an A+, but overall, yes, this is a very solid, good movie, and I highly recommend seeing it. So those are my main thoughts on Free Guy spoiler free. Now let's get into some spoiler-filled talk as to certain plot devices and character arcs that may seem familiar to you, and where you may have seen them before. Now, this film, I feel like, is mainly a combination of two separate things, namely the Truman Show, where you have the main character basically questioning the reality of his world around him and realizing it's all a big simulation, and combining Truman Show with Ready Player One, where you have the video game world as a very important video game world, and it's under threat from an external source, namely the CEO of another big company, or the same company itself, who is trying to, either ruin the game through massive ads or something, or just destroy the game space entirely. Those are big things as far, I feel like, is the big comparison to be made between Free Guy and films that have come before. But some other things that kind of cropped up were, I feel like when Guy gets reset or rebooted, and Molotov Girl has to go in and basically jog his memory to reset his memory of all their experiences together. That kind of reminded me a bit of WALL-E, especially when Eve repairs WALL-E with all these spare parts, and there's a brief moment where it's like, oh, he doesn't remember me, and I don't know if he'll ever be back the same way he was again, and she basically kisses him, and then that brings back the memories. Same thing happens with Free Guy. Again, not a distracting thing as far as the grand scheme of the similar, but it's a similarity nonetheless. And finally, as far as the similarity goes, again, this is sort of a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing, especially with Ryan Reynolds involved. The fact that Guy, the character Guy, has to face off against a swole, bubblehead clone of himself in the final battle, that's just really basically a fun version of the final battle in Logan, with Logan facing off against the Weapon X clone or whatever that they made of him. And again, Ryan Reynolds has a friendly rivalry, shall we say, with Hugh Jackman, and Hugh Jackman also lends a voice cameo to this. I feel like there were some good-natured tongue-in-cheek references in this fun, which is again why, yes, it's a similarity, but it's not distracting similarity. In fact, it adds to the funness of this movie. Really, the only the things that I kind of had to nitpick about this film is there are certain instances where, again, I kind of felt this the same way with Pokemon Detective Pikachu, where Ryan Reynolds is really trying to channel Deadpool in some of these things, and it kind of peaks out in certain instances, but I feel like it could have come out a little bit more and it would have been fine, especially as, guys gaining further realization as to the true nature of the video game world, and he gets more cynical, especially near the end where it's like, hey, we're all a simulation, and things, you could have dragged on a little bit more, but they kind of cut it short, and it's like, oh, that could have been an interesting, fun twist to go there, but they just didn't do it. And my last major nitpick with this film is near the end. Yes, it is a video game world, and there's some IP connected with it, especially with Fox being 20th Century Studios, I guess it's now, being acquired by Disney. When they reference that Guy summoning the Captain America shield, and Chris Evans watching the stream going, reacting to that was hilarious. And then when he gets the Hulk fist and punches dude, that was also hilarious. But then when he channels the lightsaber and the Star Wars theme starts playing in the background of it, and people linger on it, it's like, oh, that's a lightsaber, dude. And it's like, okay, yes, we're just lingering on the fact that Disney owns everything, and that just kind of took me out of the movie, personally. Maybe other people would have just been on the road for the whole thing, but I feel like once you pulled out the lightsaber, that's like, okay, that's a step a little bit too far. We could have we had our good moment. Why stretch it further? Again, that's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary on that. Really, those are the only kind of things that I would point out to this. Overall, it's just such a fun film, and I really recommend you guys see it in theaters. And hey, I know this is such a weird time where we thought we were going out of the pandemic, but now we're kind of sort of swinging up with the Delta stuff. Listen, I am fully vaccinated. I got my 2 shots of the vaccine, and I felt perfectly safe in a theater with, I think there was probably 20, 25 people else in the theater. It's nowhere near full capacity, but I felt perfectly safe. Please, if you haven't done so already, I beg you to get the vaccine, because that is really the best way to get back to normal. And hey, if you've been fully vaccinated, feel free to go to a theater and watch a movie with people in the same room. These movies are worth seeing in an audience setting and having that group experience. That's how memories are made. That is what makes life worth living, in my opinion. So, those are my main thoughts on Free Guy. What did you think of the film? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? I probably missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to check out my next movie review, which I believe on the schedule, unless something changes, will be for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which comes out September 3rd, Labor Day weekend. I'll also be doing a TV review once all the episodes are out of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2. So be sure to look for that. And if you liked this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.